What is Ash Wednesday? Ash Wednesday is the beginning of the season of Lent, a period of 40 days and 40 nights of entering into a process of honest self-examination. It's a point in which we begin a journey of self-denial and resurrection, in which we take a good look at ourselves in the mirror, own up to those things that need to change, where we need to grow as human beings, and begin to, bit by bit, embrace more fully what it means to be remade in the likeness of Christ. On Ash Wednesday, in normal times, we would gather together and spend time reflecting honestly on our human nature. We would pray for repentance, for a turning around, a fresh start, a beginning again in our lives. We'd hear scriptures that remind us of God longing for God's people to be people of justice. And they remind us that this isn't simply about our individual lives, but a corporate repentance, a corporate self-examination, a corporate turning around, as much as it's also about us as individuals and how we live out our discipleship. At the heart of the service would be the act of penitence, in which, as the liturgy says, we confess to God and to one another, in communion with all God's saints, that we've sinned through our own fault, in thought and word and deed, by what we've done and what we've failed to do. In other words, we've failed to live up to the mark. And then we'd move through, having looked at particular things that we may wish to say sorry to God for, to the heart of the service, the ashing. I really enjoy making the ash for Ash Wednesday. You take the palm crosses from last year's Palm Sunday service and cook them in the oven to dry them out. Then set fire to them to produce the ash. To which you add some oil to make it so you can make the sign of the cross on people's foreheads. It's a deeply solemn thing to do, and the ash reminds us of the Genesis story, in which the first human being was raised up by God out of the dust, and then God breathed life into that dust to make Adam, whose name means earth, man, literally dust. And that's why, as the sign of the cross is made on our foreheads by the minister, they would say, "Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Turn away from sin and be faithful to Christ." There would normally be plenty of space for reflection in this service, and at the heart of it, after the ashing, is moving into Holy Communion. And this reminds us both of the closeness of God to us, even when we fall short of all that God has made us to be, but also our entering from death, from crucifixion, into resurrection and new life. It gives us a foretaste of that point where God will remake all of creation and set everything right, so that, as Revelation says, there will be no more tears, no more death, no more sin, and no more heartache. So that's a whistle-stop tour of what we'd normally do on Ash Wednesday. As we're not able to meet and obviously have that close contact that's involved in both the sharing of Holy Communion and of ashing, I invite you to take some time today to reflect on those themes for yourself in quiet and stillness. You may wish, as part of that, to use those words. Remember that you are dust, and to dust you shall return. Turn away from sin and come home to Christ. By yourself, and you may wish to make the sign of the cross on your own forehead like that. Not with ash or anything like that, but just as a reminder of what we would normally be doing today. and of our mortality and of our need to turn back to God. So I pray that as you begin this journey of Lent today, that it will be a season of growth for you. It may be challenging, it may be painful, maybe not always very encouraging as we get to grips with our human nature. But it is a season that is fundamentally about the good news of God in Jesus Christ. And that is always encouraging. Take care and God bless.